Welcome back to season 2 of Grab Your Stuff podcast. I'm so excited to be back with you all again. Did you miss me? Because I missed you. For those of you who are new here, I know many of you have been streaming this even while we have been on hiatus for over a year now. And I am so pleased to have you. My name is Vernique Esther. I am a relational trauma therapist and coach, and I am here to help you live your best healed life. Grab Your Stuff is all about us taking what we need for the journey and leaving behind what's not necessary so we can move towards the life of healing, wholeness, and healthy relationships that you desire for yourself, but I know that God desires for you as well. So I know y'all have been asking me, when is it coming back? And all of these things that I never had an answer for you, but we are back. Thank you for your patience. And you are in for a treat. This season, the theme is Come Home to You. Come home to you, yes. And we're going to be talking about all the different ways that we can come back and come home to ourselves. But it's also connected to this huge announcement that I have. And if you've been following me, then you already know this. But I am having my very first conference, Heal for Real, live. I cannot wait for you all to experience this transformative 2-day event. We're going to have some of my friends who are experts in the field, as well as myself, teaching and giving workshops, and we're going to have some real practical things that you'll walk away with. It's 2 days, June 2nd and 3rd in Atlanta. I'd love to see you there. You get a special code for being a listener, and you get a discount off of your ticket, so make sure you check that in the show notes. But that is part of why this season is connected to that, because I want you all to be prepared in your hearts and minds for what is going to take place. Not only that, if for whatever reason you can't make it, this will provide some of the rich depth that you have been needing to move your healing journey forward. So, like I said, it's happening June 2nd and 3rd, and it's all about you developing this deep and compassionate relationship with yourself on part of your healing journey. So, today's episode, as we're talking about coming home, all of the episodes are home themed, but today's episode is titled Home Inspection. But before we get into that, you already know it's time for Let Me Put You On. Now, if you're new here, you don't know about this. Let Me Put You On is the segment of the show where I tell you something that I think that you need to know, get into, buy, whatever. I want you to expand your world with me. Some of these you might be like, Vernique, I'm never doing that. And some of them you may feel like, oh, you know what? Good tip. Y'all clowned me last year for, heating up my milk so I could eat cereal. But that's the way we did it in my house growing up, okay? So you don't have to get put onto that. But today's Let Me Put You On is actually a little bit different. It is inspired by my own personal journey. And so let me put you on to being a homemaker and a hostess, even when you're single. So this past year, for those of y'all who don't know, I used to be a medical social worker, a travel medical social worker. And as of last year, I stopped traveling at the top of 2022. And I finally got to be home. I bought my home in 2019 and I was like never here. And so now that I'm here, one of my things is that I really want to make this a home. And I want to know what it's like to be a homemaker, even while I'm single, before I have a man. For those of y'all who are married, maybe you want to learn how to be a homemaker for yourself, like for your home. And it's not about doing it for other people, but to create a space that is inviting and comfortable and safe for me. Right? And also with that, I wanted to become like a better host. So I wanted to have people over. I wanted them to feel cared for and thought of while they were here. So if you're in my close friends, which there's over 100 of you in my close friends, you've been following this journey of me learning how to be a better cook, of me setting up for when I have company, as well as decor and just changing things around. So I want to put you onto that. It really has been an inspiring thing for me to be able to create the type of home that I want to live in, as opposed to just, something that's bland and doesn't feel like anything. So I hope that puts you on. And let me know if you try this. Let me know if you decide to get on this journey with me. And of course, you can request to join my close friends so you can see how I'm navigating this journey too. Today's topic is home inspection. When I first bought my home in 2019, it was some of the most heavy adulting I've ever done in my life. Actually, I still tell people to this day that I don't know how I actually did it, because it's difficult, but it also requires a lot of patience, a lot of resources, and I was just so grateful to be able to do it. But if you've never bought a home, then what you don't know is that you may have to get an inspector when you find a home. So the part about the home buying process is that you don't just purchase the home, right? You don't just say, hey, I want this house, let's get it. You say, hey, I want this house, and that if the seller accepts, then they'll say, okay, great, put down some earnest money. Earnest money is basically a amount of money that you put down to let them know that you're serious about buying this house. I think usually it's like 0.1% of the price, something like that. In my case, the house before this house, I really liked it. It had so much personality. I thought it was perfect for me. And so I decided to go ahead. So I put the earnest money down, and putting down that earnest money gave me access to the home and gave me access to be able to do things like get a home inspection, which is required under certain loan types, but also it's optional. But it's the wisest thing to do if you want to buy a house, is to get it inspected, because you want to make sure you know what you're getting into, or know if you need to get out of it, right? So it's to ensure that the home is in good condition, that there's no major problems, and if so, it lets you know what you're going to do to get it fixed, or what you're going to need to do. It's a way of making sure that the foundation of the house is solid and it's a safe place to call home. And as I thought about this process, it really brought me back to that first inspector. He was so thorough. He was such an amazing guy. He was so thorough. Child, he went into an attic, which I'm never doing. I have an attic, and that's where like my air filter lives. I get people to change it for me because I'm terrified. And I have a brand new home. But he went into that attic, and one of the things that he found was that the adjoining house, which it was a townhome, the adjoining house had been abandoned, and there was no separation in the attic between the two homes. And so animals that had made their nest in there were slowly going to make their way into the home that I was looking at purchasing. Y'all, I was devastated. I was so heartbroken, because I was like, this is the house that I want, right? Like, I really thought that this was going to be it for me. But what I loved about that process was that as a home inspector, his job was not to make me feel bad or feel good about the purchase, but to give me facts and to tell me the truth. He wasn't trying to convince me to buy it or not, right? It was just, let me let you know what's going on. Well, two things come to mind here when I parallel healing and the home buying process. One is that in order to get the inspection, I had to make an investment. Don't miss that. In order to do the inspection, I had to make the investment. How often do we neglect being self-aware or really checking in with ourselves and self-caring and getting what it is that we need, because we don't take the time that is required to make the investment. Taking care of yourself requires an investment. You have to be willing to take the time, the finances, the energy in order to get understanding about what's going on with you. So you have to be willing to invest. No, I couldn't just walk into any house like that was on the market and say, hey, let me get a home inspection. I want to see what's up. No, I had to put down my earnest money. I had to set my intent and let them know that I'm serious about this. And because I'm serious about this, here is my investment, and I'm going to do what it takes to understand the inner workings of this property. Same thing with you. Are you willing to invest and put in the time and the energy that it takes to see what's going on in the one body and one life that you have? It's all that you have. And if you're not willing to do it, who's going to do it? A lot of times we outsource our self-care and our self-love to other people, because we think that abandoning ourselves and pouring into somebody else will hopefully maybe one day get it back to us. And that's not how it works. You have to fill your cup first. You have to be willing to inspect and understand what's going on. Nobody else can figure out what's going on in your heart and in your mind and how trauma has impacted your life more than you. Okay? So everybody else can't get access to that. You have to be willing to make your investment, which signals your intent to purchase, and then you can inspect. Here's the other thing about the investment that it takes, right? Not only do I have to pay the earnest money, but I have to pay the inspector for his time and for his energy and for his expertise. Okay, we want to make sure that the right person, so if you're on your healing journey, you are the initial investor, right? You're investing into yourself, but you also may need to invest in outside help in order to help you understand what's going on. So that's therapy, coaching, events like Heal for Real Live, right? You have to be willing to bring in experts that know a little bit more than you about what could be happening and help you translate it so that way you can make the right decision. Not only does the inspector come in and tell you what's wrong, but he gives you strategy. The inspector says that here's what's going on, but he doesn't just stop at your awareness. He moves forward into how you can get it to work, right? And he connects the issue with a solution. So without the inspection, I may have been able to guess what I needed, but I would have fallen short because I was not going to do the due diligence necessary to understand what was going on in the home. Right? I might have known a little bit, but with his expertise and with his partnership, I was able to get further and to understand if I should make the purchase or not. And at the end of the day, I ended up not getting that house because of some of those issues. Even though I loved it to this day, I can still picture the outline in my head, and the area was perfect, all of those things. But I had to know what was going on in order for me to make the investment or decide to walk away. And ultimately, I did decide to walk away. Now, granted, you can't walk away from you. But if you don't like what you see in the mirror every day, if you don't like some of the behaviors and the patterns that you see going on, you have to be willing to invest and to take the time to become compassionately self-aware, which, by the way, high-achieving Christian women, who I mostly work with, they struggle with this, right? A lot of them are good at self-awareness, but not the compassion piece. It's not enough for you to be self-aware and you're picking yourself apart. That's not going to get you anywhere. If anything, it might discourage you on your journey. Instead, when we add compassion to that, when you start to, as I talk about all the time, honoring your humanity, where you take a look at who you've been, where you've been, the circumstances that led you to have the behaviors that you have, so that way not only do you have understanding, but you have a level of care for yourself, that is when healing work can begin. Now, of course, we have to go beyond just awareness, which we'll talk about in the following episodes. But I want you to know that if there's no compassion with your self-awareness, you could possibly end up abusing yourself. When there's no compassion, abuse is possible. Because you're going to run yourself ragged trying to tell yourself that you're not good enough and you need to heal and you need to do all these things. But there's no compassion that will actually drive the behavior change. When we look at scripture, the Bible talks about how with loving kindness he has drawn us. God draws you through loving kindness, not through berating you, not through shame, not through guilt, not through telling you that you're not good enough, not even through discipline. He draws you through loving kindness, which is mercy. Can you have loving kindness upon yourself so that way you can do the best healing work of your life? So look, it's not easy to always look at yourself honestly and critically. Sometimes we don't want to see what's under the hood because we don't know what that might mean. I didn't want to know that there was a possible infestation that could take over that house. Why? Because that meant that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, which is buy the house. There's a sense of accountability that comes with self-awareness. Yes, it's true. But what's worse is not knowing and ending up having a ton of problems down the line that I could have avoided had I just paid attention, had I just invested into myself, right? So I want you to make the investment and to have the internal foundation so you can identify cracks and weaknesses and begin to address them with compassion and care. So what are we grabbing? Well, we're grabbing opportunities to care for ourselves. We're grabbing opportunities to be compassionately self-aware. We're grabbing grace when we learn things about ourselves that we don't like. We're grabbing everything that we need, every resource that we have access to invest in our own healing. I want you to take time to address these areas. And I want you to know, by the way, that this is a radical act of self-love and self-respect and self-care. When you choose to be compassionately self-aware, when you choose to invest in yourself, that is what you're doing. You're telling yourself that you are worthy of a life that is beyond what you've been subjected to through your trauma and through your negative experiences. Okay? You deserve a solid foundation for yourself to build a life that truly feels like home. All right, so normally this is a time where we would do questions and confessions, but because we just started, I decided let's do reviews this time and then we'll come back. If you have a question or want to make a confession, something that you want me to talk about, right? If you want me to give you advice on something, give you my thoughts and opinions on it, then please send an email to info@verniqueester.com, and I want you to do the subject line questions and confessions and then send me in your question or confession. It can also be something that you saw on the internet somewhere, okay? But today we're going to read some reviews and then I have an announcement and sign-offs. So, K Mars 22 says, I love this. Definitely one of the many gems I will be putting into practice. Thank you. Let's see. We also have from Vibes Bell. I'm so excited for this new journey Vernique is about to embark on concerning Grab Your Stuff. I pray the Lord's favor will always be up and through Grab Your Stuff. Let's go. I love that. Thank you so much. Nicole 2011 says, I have my suitcase ready to go and ready to grab the things I need. Thanks for creating this space. You're so welcome, Nicole. All right, this is from my sis Brittany. I don't know how you managed to get me together with just a trailer, but you did. All right, well, we have some amazing things coming up for the rest of this season. I hope that you stay tuned and that you stay locked in. I really hope to see you at Heal for Real Live, the conference. Please, please, please get there. It's literally 2 days of transformative work and that you'll never have access to anywhere else. And so I want you to come and know that it's going to be an amazing time. You can check out the show notes for the link as well as the discount code, okay? Well, I hope you all stay tuned into this season. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to have some amazing gems, and I just can't wait to unpack what it means to come home to yourself with you. By the way, Heal for Real Live, again, is happening June 2nd and 3rd in Atlanta. I'd love to have you there. I'd love to host you. I'm telling you, 2 days of transformation that you will get nowhere else. So check out the show notes for you to get your ticket and to get your special discount code for being a listener. By the way, share this podcast with a friend. Somebody needs to hear this. I know how much y'all loved last season. This season is going to be just as good, if not better. So stay locked in. So my sign off today is, you got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. Know when to walk away and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table, because there'll be plenty of time for counting when the dealing is done. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Grab your stuff. Let's go.